just casually chugging coffee before starting this podcast. Hello, welcome to the garden that is Send Us Flowers, where we are only growing the absolute best vibes. I'm your host, Bizzy, and you can find me at That's Bizzy on almost every platform except TikTok because I hate weed. And you can find Send Us Flowers on all platforms. For today's episode, I wanted to do some housekeeping for the podcast and tell you all a little bit why I've been so MIA over the past 2 weeks. Between being fully in my Eliza Thornberry mood and helping save a baby sea lion to having deleted content on Instagram and some dings and needing to go private, it's just been a crazy last 2 weeks. And I want to tell you all about that. But before we get into it, I first want to send flowers to all of you because before this podcast, I had a full-on meltdown. I mean, I sent a video to my friend. There was just like, I spilled a whole thing of coffee near all these cords. I was setting up the cameras and lights, and one of them fell and took everything with it. And I just sat in this puddle of coffee crying. It's so ridiculous. But you know when that moment hits and you just break and you're like, I'm done. It took everything in me not to just leave, but I'm here and we're here. And if you had a meltdown today, it's okay. And I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. And sometimes we need that moment to push us forward and be a little bit more motivated. So I'm sending you all flowers today. Please take a deep breath, give yourself some self-love, and know that everything is going to be okay. Even if it's not okay in this exact particular moment. And for the flowers today, I got to go to the recent THC design event, and I got this super cool joint holder. It's like a literal science beaker test tube vial with a little gradient color on the side of the glass. And this is perfect to reuse for joints, carrying them around. I hate using plastic cases and stuff. So we'll light this up and get into some housekeeping. I really enjoyed the THC design event. They always have good events. They had it at Manhattan Beach with Flower Hire, and they had a flower claw machine, a photo booth. They had a Puffco station with punch. Oh, I haven't smoked yet today either. Maybe that's why everything was so chaotic. It's okay. It's okay. We're all right now. So some housekeeping. I want to let you all know that every Wednesday morning, you can expect a brand new episode of Send Us Flowers, whether it be an interview, a product review, a community call-in episode, or just a solo pod to hang out and discuss some new topics like smoking weed on your period, how you're using weed to cope with family drama, meltdowns you might be having. My mom even asked me this morning, do you tip bud tenders at the dispensary? Just how to go to a dispensary. And so if you have any other topics that you would like to hear about or contribute to the podcast, or even answer a prompt on the voicemail, please call 267-420-0710. It's an incredible phone number. I don't know why you wouldn't want to call it, but I would love to hear from you. The community call-in episode that I did before was crazy. Literally, this girl talks about lighting another woman's hair on fire, and that's not even the craziest part of the story. So I'm really excited to just be more transparent with you all and be working on consistency, because for me, consistency is really hard. And this podcast has really helped me and forced me to reckon with that And I know that so many people out there deal with, consistency issues and how to, stay focused and stay driven through something. And I really want to work on that here. And so Wednesday morning, hold me to it. and I will personally send you real flowers to your door. So I'm super stoked. Next Wednesday, I had Sav on the podcast, so I will be putting that episode up next week. We talk all about how to make the most perfect hash hole. She's an artist. She's the most magical manifester. And so if you really need some inspiration and some female flower power vibes, this woman is it. This interview is for you. I can't wait to release it. I even rolled a joint afterwards, by myself, and I felt really good about it. And she's just so encouraging. So if you also want a space to safely learn how to roll without judgment, this is it. Now, the last couple weeks with ocean activity has been crazy. I'm pretty sure the ocean is out to get us, from orcas and other sea life attacking boats to submersibles imploding in the water. It's what is happening? And recently, by me, I had this crazy situation happen. A mother, well, we didn't know it was a mom yet, but a sea lion came to shore and we thought she was injured. We were trying to find numbers to call to see if we could, get her help. And we came back a few hours later. She had a baby. There was a baby sea lion. And she wasn't injured. She was just giving birth. And I'm looking back at the photos and where we thought her flipper was injured. It's literally not even her flipper. It's the baby being born. And so all week, we were kind of going down to the beach, keeping an eye on the situation, because this was a really rare occurrence. We've been going to this beach for a while, and it's right off the PCH. It's pretty crowded, and, a bunch of people go and unfortunately harass wildlife. And so we wanted to just keep an eye on the situation, not that we could really do too much around it. But Thursday rolls around and I got some signs made to, not touch wildlife. And as we're literally putting the signs up, there's this huge family and one of them is touching the baby sea lion, trying to pet them. And so we were like, no, don't do that. And then on the other side of this, there's a dead dolphin in the surf. And these kids are playing with it. It's insane. I couldn't believe it. And so I asked them, don't touch wildlife. We don't know what's going on. And as I'm looking for numbers to call, because now the baby sea lion has also been left alone. The mom has to go feed. We did a bunch of random research. I am not an expert, but I definitely learned a lot over the past week about sea lions. And so I'm looking up numbers to call, and there's this huge warning on one of the websites, and it's beware of domoic acid poisoning in sea life, and they're being really affected. And so I was oh my God, what if the mom has whatever this is? And so I look further into it, and apparently the weather patterns are that I have no, it's El Nino. We're in El Nino. I'm the weather patterns, I have no clue what I'm talking about. But we're in the El Nino weather currently, and it's warming the sea, causing this algae bloom to occur. And when fish eat it, it causes this domoic acid poisoning. And so we were super worried and, didn't really know what to do. And, we call one number and they're oh, call this other number. And it's 10:30 on Thursday night. We're trying to do this. And finally, the baby sea lion kind of tucked himself into this little corner, and we left just hoping he would make it through the night. We returned Friday morning and it was quite the scene. The dead dolphin had washed up on the shore. the mom had come back, but she was clearly having a seizure, kind of like just in like the surf. And, you know, the baby sea lion was calling out to the mom, but the mom wouldn't come. It was so sad. My heart was just breaking. And so we were still trying to call a bunch of numbers and being pointed in different directions, different people telling us that they would send people, but no true confirmation. And, you know, we have to like get to work and stuff. And so luckily, thank God, there was this guardian angel at the beach. This woman comes up, this older woman, and she was talking to us about the situation. She's lived there for like 16 years and hasn't, you know, seen really anything like this before. Only like a handful of pups had been born at that beach. And so I got her email, and Saturday morning, I went back down to the beach. I, you know, hadn't heard back from her, and I was looking everywhere for the mom and the baby sea lion. I asked everyone I saw on the beach, and I just like my heart was racing. I was going up and down looking for any signs of life. There were these people doing a photo shoot on the beach. I was asking them about it, and no one had seen a sea lion. But then one of the photographers was like, okay, I may have seen something in the water. And then just as she's saying this, a sea lion pops their head out of the water. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is that the mom? And so it didn't really look like the same sea lion though. And I emailed the woman again, you know, wanting to see if there was an update. And just as I was feeling so defeated, I got the most beautiful email from this woman. And it was incredible. There was a huge rescue that took place Friday. A lifeguard intervened and got them the proper help. They were able to rescue both the baby and the mom, which is really rare usually, especially like when the facilities are full. I learned they sometimes only take the baby. And so it's so good that they were able to take both and that they both have a chance at treatment, because this is affecting the entire West Coast. Like if you live on the West Coast, like this could affect you, and it's definitely something, you know, that you want to be aware of. So the oceans are definitely out to get us for sure. We definitely need to do our part. It, you know, it just really woke me up personally to, you know, what is happening and how it affects sea life. And also, like, if you eat fish off the coast, like, it can affect people too. It's crazy. And there was just such a beautiful moment. I was complaining to the woman about how people were touching the baby sea lion and harassing sea life. She even talked about how someone had tried to wrap the baby sea lion in their coat and put him back in the ocean. And I was so frustrated. And she just goes, no, honestly, it's beautiful energy that they want to help. And it's, you know, this capacity of caregiving. And we don't want to, you know, smosh that. We don't want people to walk away feeling hurt by an experience when they're trying to help an animal or, you know, anyone for that matter. But it's all about education and also redirecting that energy. And I just thought that was such an incredible thing that applies to so much of life, you know, like there's so much we want to do, but may not know how. And sometimes even with like the best intention, it doesn't always turn out to be what was intended. And, you know, maybe the effect is more harmful than what you intended. And I just think that's a beautiful sentiment, and it just gives so much grace to people. And so I'm sending her flowers. I literally told her, I was like, you are a guardian angel. You really helped make this happen. And, you know, I really felt so much peace in my heart knowing that they both had been able to be rescued. So, crazy week, crazy time in the oceans and with wildlife. And so I really wanted to share that story because it was an incredible adventure. And my heart was just like, breaking for this little baby. And usually they're like in herds and groups. And so like even when the mom does go to feed, there's like other, babies and like other sea lions there. But this one was completely alone. It was just breaking my heart and like listening to him cry for his mom. Oh, I'm gonna like start crying now just talking about it. But it was really a beautiful moment. I was working to share a lot of it on Instagram, but of course there were issues there too. Ever since I posted about like Olympics and tagged a few other brands, I got a few stories deleted and I got a policy violation saying that I was, selling guns and regulated goods and for violence. And that's the thing that's crazy too, is that some of these reports aren't even accurate. Like, I'm not doing any of those things at all. And the fact that I just go to Instagram and it says, hey, definitively, we've decided this, is so insane. Like, there's no way around it. Even when I appealed, they still said, nope, like, we think this is what you were doing. And there's no one I can talk to unless I do the blue check thing. And it's just ridiculous. It's what every creator has to deal with. I've done this for years now. And it's just like, on one hand, I'm so used to it, but you also never truly get used to it because it's so much work you put in. You want to have these conversations, but how are you supposed to talk about something you can't talk about? I mean, we're using stickers on Instagram, we're using images, we're using code words. I mean, I might as well send smoke signals. It would be more effective sometimes. And even from a medical stance and, talking about products and stuff, they do see you as someone who's selling. And so it makes it really tough to have these conversations, even on like a medical level. And so I really want there to be change here. I mean, even Q-Pins was just demonetized on YouTube. Twitch has announced that they're less 420 friendly. And so if you've created in this space for a long time, you've always seen an ebb and flow. But I think that, especially with the election coming up, we're going to see a lot more controversy over the plant and over plant medicine. And there are going to be groups of people who are coming against it and advertisers who are against it and don't want it on platforms that they're also advertising on. Just like I said at the beginning, TikTok is so strict. My personal account was deleted off of there when I had a few thousand followers. And so now I keep it really safe on Send Us Flowers. But all of these platforms, all of these places, they're so temporary. And so if you are creating, make sure that you have your why too, because that's when it matters. Like, if you don't have a reason that you're doing this beyond something that's maybe more surface, I don't see why you would keep going. And so I really want people in this space and who also create to know to keep going. You have to find your why. You have to keep going. Even if you get deleted, put up another account, go to a new platform, try a different angle. Don't give up, because education is so crucial right now. There's so many conversations that we need to be having in this space, but it's so censored that it's made it very difficult to be able to do so. And I just would love to have more safe spaces where we can do that. I mean, Twitter has been a little bit better, and maybe I need to do just a full episode on what are good platforms for people to post weed on and talk about weed. But we're just going to have to continue to be careful. We're going to continue to be creative, and it really pushes people to, be original and take on trends in their own way. And how can we, sneaky talk about something if other people don't want us talking about it? I mean, when I know I always talk about my fucking period, but when I was having a horrible, diagnosis and trying to figure out what was wrong with me, weed would have been so beneficial at that time. And I was smoking at that time, but to know how to use it, to know what was going to work for me. Like, I didn't know about suppositories. I didn't know about CBD. I didn't know about any of that. And so I really want other people to have access to this information in a way that isn't so seedy. It's not like basement information. It can live, on the surface level and help others, at the very least, from a medical standpoint. So that's just where I've been for the last 2 weeks. Those are some of the things that have been happening in my life. I had a few other family things kind of happening in the background, but that's also, I want to save that just for a totally different podcast, because family stuff is also hard and coping with it is hard. And it's definitely like the plant has definitely played a role in that too for me, whether, it's been for the better or worse. But I want to have these conversations, and the podcast has been a place where I can consistently do that. And even though sometimes it gets age gated on YouTube, you can go to Spotify, you can still go to YouTube, it's still up. Knock on wood, knock on wood. And I just want to send flowers to any creators and people in this space who are feeling alone, feeling like, defeated by this, and like they can't talk about what they truly want to talk about and convey the message that they want to convey. I'm sending you so much love. Keep going. Keep going. That's all I have to say. So, the last 2 weeks have been crazy. This is what's been going on. I hope you all have been treating yourselves with love and kindness. And if you've had any breakdowns, I hope you're healing. And know, we're just not alone in this. And we can always come together to find solutions. Like for me, when I have these breakdowns, coming on here, talking to you all, talking to friends, talking to my mom really helps me. Doing some deep breathing, especially with some plant medicine, if you know what I mean, and having a coffee, going and reading a book, journaling. These are all things that help. And especially if you're dealing with frustrations with your content creation, these are all tools that I've worked into my toolbox of life that occasionally help me. And again, like, I'm not perfect. Just because you have the tools doesn't mean you're always going to use them. And sometimes you need to really dive deep to find that toolbox and be like, oh yeah, I know how to get myself out of this, or I know how to self-soothe in a way that maybe I didn't used to know before. And so you got this. That's all you got this. You can do it. You can get through the week, you can get through the meltdown, and you can give yourself a nice treat at the end of the day and so much self-love. So I'm sending you all flowers. Thank you for joining another episode of Send Us Flowers. I will see you all next Wednesday morning. And please don't forget to subscribe, rank on Spotify, and leave a voicemail at 267-420-0710. Oh my God. I literally made it through this whole episode without burping. I've had the worst gas. Whatever. You guys just don't need everything from me today. Goodbye. Have a great day.